All right, guys. So we are back for the official relaunch of the KodaCast. And I thought it was only fitting for us to invite Matt from Morning Meats back to be our first guest. And this is due to the fact that we just had an amazing season together. You know, it was full of track days, cruises, workshops, and just so much passion behind this automotive lifestyle that both communities, the Kodawari and Morning Meats community, enjoy partaking in. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation as much as I had in terms of having that conversation with Matt, and looking forward to having many more and continuing on right where we left off with the KodaCast. Thanks.
Our first guest for relaunching the podcast after what we were talking about earlier. I think it's been 4 years since we officially, I think we had a sprinkling of maybe one or two guests, but 4 years, and you're the first guest that we are honored to have in our studio, which is not so much of a part storage area anymore. But welcome, Matt.
Thank you so much for having me. It's it's a great pleasure to be here. Like I was saying, I used to listen to this, so the fact that you chose to get me on here is beyond me. So thank you.
Yeah, it's always pretty cool to hear some of our friends and community come up to me like, "Now, when are you gonna record the next one? What's going on with the KodaCast?" Like, I enjoy listening to it, and it's just one of those things that we've discovered along the way of building Kodawari Collective. It's definitely something that I've fallen in love with. I can see myself doing it long term, and that's a big reason of why we're launching it, and it's a big reason of why I'm sitting here and talking to you right now, because we came and crossed paths with Morning Meats roughly, I think it was like last year, like 2024, sometime around, I think it was either summertime or fall time, but I specifically remember seeing like some posts go up and, you know, like hearing a little bit of Morning Meats through the grapevines of the community and the enthusiasts. And then I had one of my really good clients come up to me and he's like, "Now, have you heard of Morning Meats? You got to check them out. I think based on like what Kodawari is about and our values and the things we enjoy doing, I think you should check these guys out." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds like I'll definitely add that to the list of 10,000 other things I have to do." As
yeah, no kidding.
as things can be for when you're trying to build a business and all that jazz. But it wasn't until another client, who are both like, and these clients, I have great relationships with them, and they always are looking to help us out and point us in the right direction. But a second client came up and he was like, "Now, have you heard of Morning Meats? You got to check these guys out." And then at that point I was like, okay, that's enough proof, right? That's I think we went on to your website, and then we applied, and then started attending your events. But why don't we start with where it all started for you in terms of your passion for cars, and then eventually how it led into starting Morning Meats.
Okay, well, I'm glad you remember coming out to your first event, because I remember it very vividly. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I used to geek out at Drive Fest when I used to see the NSX. I was looking back at my camera roll a couple weeks ago, and I found old photos I'd taken of the NSX on the track, and it's like one of the only photos I kept from when I used to pretend to be a photographer. So that was a really cool moment. But my story with cars is a weird and bumpy one. I don't come from a family that loves cars. My dad likes them, but it really started with my grandpa. When I was growing up, he had an MG Midget coming from the UK, which is, for those that don't know, a very, very small UK sports car with next to no power. But to me as a kid, getting in that, sitting essentially on the floor and putting the roof down, felt like we were doing 2 million miles an hour. And I think he caught onto that. So my grandpa subscribed me to Top Gear magazine when I was probably 9 or 10. And I used to just geek out on the back 3 pages of all the cars for sale. And that's where it really started. And then I'm the fortunate generation that got YouTube right in its prime. So I really started to dive into that when I was probably 11 or 12 and would keep up to date with all the news. And then the kind of the influencer scene started to come in, and just had always loved cars. And then COVID rolled around, and that just meant that we all had far too much free time to go on platforms like Collecting Cars and Auto Trader and just go, oh my goodness, what would I buy if I had 100,000 Canadian or 10,000 Canadian? And you just spend your whole day looking at classifieds. So that's what I did. I got super into Porsches, and then just coming out of COVID, I got my license and went to a PTN meet for the first time ever about 2 weeks after getting my license in my Veloster Turbo. Showed up to that, had never been to a big private car event before, and there was probably circa 200 911s. And after geeking out on Porsches for about 2 years during COVID, I just couldn't really believe what I was seeing. It kind of rocked my world a little bit, and had to take a bit of a step back and figure out, okay, I got to do something about this itch now that's getting annoying. And you start bumping into people like Lucas in his new GT3. That was the first event he'd taken it to. Yeah, your eyes kind of go a little bit wide and you don't know what to do. So then what did I do after that?
Wait, I want to, so you originally grew up in the UK.
Yep.
When did your family move over to Canada?
We came over 2018. So we got like 2 years before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's, how would you compare the UK car culture, car scene versus like the one we have in the GTA?
I was thinking about this on the way here. The word that comes to mind is developed, because the UK car scene has been around for so much longer, and car enthusiasm is really enrooted in everyone's life there. Like just driving on the 401 here, 90% of the cars are Hondas, Acuras, Lexuses. If you're in the UK, it's BMW, Audi, maybe a Porsche sprinkled in there. There's a real enthusiasm and a desire for people to have interesting cars there. And yeah, I would say it's developed. It's been happening for a very, very long time. We only started getting really developed car clubs here kind of 5 or 10 years ago. They'd been around in the UK for 20 or 30.
Yeah.
But there's just a huge interest. You know, if you wanted to throw numbers out there, I would say it feels like 1% of the population here are into cars. In the UK, at least 10%, if we were to try and give a ratio to that. Because of that, I find that there's a lot more synergy in the UK car scene. A lot of guys like the same stuff, or at least the same type of stuff. Whereas here, with Canada being such a new country, there are so many little communities of people that like different things. No one's aligned on one genre of cars or manufacturer for even that sake. Like you look back in the UK's history, and things like the Fast Fords were such a big part of the UK's history. Dudes just love Mark 1 and 2 Escorts and Capris and things like that. Whereas here, you got a couple muscle car guys, but the country's grown so fast over the last 50 or 60 years that so many different cultures and interests have come in, and it kind of dilutes that a little bit. So it's really hard to find its identity in that respect, not for better or for worse, but I think there's a huge difference between the alignment in the car communities in the two locations. Again, not for better or for worse. I personally like variety, but the UK car scene's been around a lot longer.
Yeah, and that's always been something that I've always wondered, right? Because as Canadians, we kind of look around and we look at car culture in different areas of the world, and Europe has all this history and all this time to mature, and it's easy for us to compare. It's easy for us to be like, damn, I wish it was like that. And I've always tried to look at it like, man, we have an opportunity to build here,
Big time.
and to inspire. If we're at that 1%, we have a chance to inspire that 9% of enthusiasts, right? And to build the clubs and to build the communities. But it's cool to kind of see. I think that's one of my goals is to travel the world and see car cultures from different regions and kind of take back what we like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then mix it in and lean into like what we have in spades here, and see where it goes, right? And that's a big part of like what Morning Meets and Kodawari Collective can contribute towards, head towards, right? So yeah, it's those events, like you said, going to your first PTN.
Yep.
Seeing Lucas Scarfoni pull up in the dream classy spec GT3.
Literally the dream.
Touring.
Yeah.
And those events are really, you have an opportunity to inspire people. You have an opportunity to invite people into this world, right? So after attending that event, you're like, okay, where do I go from here? And where was that jump off point?
It becomes tangible. That's the big thing. You spend all of COVID looking at stuff online and you build an enthusiasm around it and you get excited. But when you actually see it and you interact with the people, especially in Canada with everyone being generally very welcoming and friendly, it becomes real and a real possibility. And as soon as you interact with it for the first time, you go, at least what I did was go, right, I need to figure out how I get involved in this. So for me, that looked like reaching out to collecting cars. I think you had Cliff on the podcast before.
Yeah,
he's still a great friend. He's an amazing dude. But because collecting cars were originally from the UK, I thought I might have a bit of a one-up on someone else. So I was in grade 11 at high school, and I reached out to them just by chance and said, look, if you ever need any help with anything, please let me know. I'll give you my time, my energy, whatever you want for free. I don't care. I just want to be involved. And Cliff gave me a call like the next day, and I think he thought it was an interview for a job. He's asking me all like proper interview questions, describe yourself in 3 words and all this kind of stuff, and I'm going, no, like I'm just trying to volunteer with you guys. And he caught on to it eventually, and
it's like, oh, you're still in grade 11. I thought you were like
he didn't ask my age until right at the end, I don't think. And then he went, oh dear, which was hilarious. But I spent all my grade 11 year helping out with their events on weekends, which was epic because it meant I got to be behind the scenes and understand a little bit more about the Ontario car scene, specifically in the GTA. Ultimately, they ended up pulling out of Canada for the most part, which kind of sucked. I was in line to go and work for them after high school. Then I had to really think about what I wanted to do in life and which direction I wanted to go.
Yeah. Would you almost describe that experience as a co-op in terms of like being a part of something and being able to experience and seeing things from how to run at events and participating?
100%. I took it way too seriously.
Yeah. And that's, I bring that up because we've been big supporters of the co-op program. We've had high school co-op students as a part of our program and inviting them into the business. We've had college and university co-op students, and it's so important for everyone to not even specifically to someone young in high school. I think we can all step outside our comfort zone and try different things and learn more about ourselves, but specifically when you're in grade 10, 11, you don't know shit about yourself.
No, not at all.
Most of us have not tried enough, okay?
No.
And the whole purpose of the co-op program is for you to go and try stuff and see what you like, what you don't like. And both those things, in terms of discovering those things, are super valuable, right? I was just at a career coaching thing on last Friday. When this is like my 3rd time doing it, And it's funny, just it's a new program that they started up. They pretty much are bringing in people in different industries to these high schools and talking to students.
Cool.
So it's like trying to get them excited to be like, hey, if I'm watching the stuff that I'm interested in on YouTube, how do I take that next step to actually being and doing those things?
It's tough.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Because it's kind of scary. And sometimes if there's like certain things to help you along the way, then it helps with that transition and that ability to walk forward into the unknown, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy, man. Like you should come with me to one of these career coaching things. It's funny. Sometimes like I come in and these students, they get like, they're not prepped for anything. They're just like told, okay, you guys are gonna go. They're grade 10 students, right? Because they're gonna start choosing their I guess credits for going into this course or that course.
Yeah.
They just come into the office. They come into the library. Sometimes the gymnasium. They're like, okay, you guys are gonna go there. And then sometimes I sit down at a table of like 11 girls, and I'm like, I don't know if you guys are gonna give a shit about cars or what I'm gonna talk about. Or have you been prepped in any way? And they're like, no, we just came here. So it's kind of hilarious, right? I kind of have to try and wing it and share a little bit of a universal feeling of like, hey man, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing back at that age. I kind of still don't. But at least these are the common themes that helped me get to there. And hopefully they can find some connection in that.
Do you see any kids' eyes just widen up? Like the one kid in the crowd that really resonates with it?
Yeah. And I'm spending time out of my day for that kid.
100%.
Right? Because the impact, because, you know, like with Kodawari, I'm always like, I have an opportunity to be an ambassador of the automotive world that I love so much.
Yep.
And we have an opportunity to do a lot of cool shit if we invite and inspire more people to come into this and help and build. So when I'm there, I'm very selective of which events and things I go and we participate in, are myself and Kodawari as a team. But when we're there, we're giving it 150. We're bringing it there, and we're trying to imagine me sitting on the other side. If I was in grade 10, as I was figuring out, had no idea what I was doing, if someone spoke to me and kind of showed me like, hey, look at this, look how cool this could be. Look at this story and see if that resonates with you in any sense, right? So yeah, you might have to, if you're interested, come out to one of these things with me. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see how those experiences led you to be like, okay, how do I do this? How do I start?
Yep.
So how did you start?
Cliff was a big help. Cliff was a very no-nonsense approach to a lot of stuff in life. I'm sure if you go back and listen to that podcast, he'll be very black and white with you about what to and what not to do. I had a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm for cars. I just needed it to be steered in the right direction. So he was able to do that for me. With social media and things, it's really easy to just assume that what you see the most is the right thing. But he was very clear with me that, you know, we'd be hosting an event in Yorkville or something, and I'd say, oh, look at that cool car. And he goes, no, we don't let that riffraff in or whatever, because he knew the guy and he was going to do a burnout or something. So that was very, very, very pivotal for me because it felt like someone took me seriously. At the time I was dabbling with photography a little bit, and I would go out and shoot at the racetrack for free, just to get people's contact information and Instagram and things like that. Not many people know that I did that, and only recently people started to figure that out. But it paid dividends down the line, and I think that's been a big part of my journey, is putting in a ton of work and energy and time and giving your energy to someone else or something so that it pays dividends further down the line. You know, I was doing things in grade 11 and grade 12 that I'm not even starting to see pay dividends now, but I know in a couple of years' time, if I need to make that phone call or I need someone to help me out with something, I've got those options. The real moment for me where I went, I need to do something here, was university. So like I said, I was going to work for collecting cars coming out of high school, and I got a bit cocky about that and kind of stopped looking at my options for university and things, because it wasn't something I felt was that necessary for what I wanted to do in life anyway. But second semester of university, I had Mondays and Fridays off, like no classes, no lectures, nothing, for whatever reason. And I was supposed to be in the accelerated business program. And I was sat there going, this makes no sense. If this is supposed to be like the program and the trajectory, I feel like we're moving at a snail's pace. So I sat there on a Monday morning with a piece of paper and wrote down, here's all the things I'm quite good at. Here's all the things that I find really interesting and I'm enthused about. Where's the crossovers? And I literally drew lines between all these different things. And by the end of the day, Morning Meets existed. The website was up. The Instagram existed. It was a very in the moment thing. But I think I almost needed university to show me that the traditional path wasn't working for me. It wasn't quick enough, per se, and it wasn't going deep enough into the stuff that I found interesting. So then it kind of just snowballed from there.
Like that exercise, who taught you how to do that? Like, did you just kind of like started because you had the time and space of maybe sitting in class and being bored, or just understanding that the program was not for you, that you started kind of daydreaming about listing these things out?
So I probably need to give a little bit more context. I've always loved business in general, economics, for as long as I can remember. It was the only class in high school that I was any good at. And all of my free time when kids were, I don't know, watching Netflix or something, I was watching podcasts. I'm not that great at reading. I just watched a ton of podcasts, like religiously, at least one a day for 2 or 3 hours. So I built quite a bank of knowledge, but had no way of applying it.
Yeah.
So I think subconsciously that was something I'd probably picked up over the years and years and years of listening to that kind of stuff. But the university giving me that Monday and Friday, that whole 4-day weekend, meant that I would just sit there with my thoughts a little bit. And I think that can tell you a lot about what you want to do or where you want to go, if you give yourself the time and the space to do so.
Which podcast did you enjoy listening to growing up?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. I always loved the car ones, obviously, but any car podcast I could find that also talked about the business of cars, whether it be sales, detailing, performance shops, anything in between there. I found it really interesting because I liked the idea that there was a cross section between your passion and there being a business. So I would listen to 1 or 2 of those a week, but some of them were quite entertainment based. They weren't teaching you a huge amount. I really leaned into the Diary of a CEO as a kid. Granted, I think that podcast has gone a slightly different direction now and it's got a bit more macro. But at the time, Stephen Bartlett, the host of that, was getting on really, really interesting guests that were very unfiltered, very, this is how it works, this is how it doesn't work. And it was things that you weren't going to get taught anyway. And he didn't have a political agenda. It wasn't that kind of podcast. It was more, you know, here's Richard Branson. Here are the 5 things he learned from age 18 to 25 or something of that nature. So I would listen to that probably 3 or 4 times a week as a kind of foundation. And then I'd pick and choose from other different podcasts along the way if I needed more breadth of knowledge in certain sectors or different interests that I felt that I needed to add to that kind of portfolio of knowledge.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, our ability to access this technology, to be a fly in the wall. And growing up, I loved reading. I attribute that to my sister, and she always just saw us playing way too many video games, me and my brother, and she was like, here, start reading. And she started buying us books, right? And then as I grew up, I think I got away from reading a lot, and I think I started transitioning over to podcasts like around early 20s, right? That was when like the Tim Ferriss show was probably already like going. I'm not too sure how many episodes. I feel like I might have listened to him like near his like the first 10 he released.
Wow.
And Kodawari is exists because of his podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like I learned so much by just being a fly on the wall, listening to the guests that he had on, and being able to see different approaches of how people can live their lives, or you know, all the different ways that you can kind of enjoy and listen and be entertained. It was really, really a big part of why Kodawari is, you know, that pursuit of growth is just always listening and leaning into these conversations and learning from that, right? So yeah, it's cool to see that you were able to make that time and decide, okay, you know what, these are the things I'm good at, these are the things I'm interested in, how do I connect the dots?
Yep.
And I wish there were a lot more times in our lives where we're encouraged to do these thought exercises and to slow it down and think about it, because it actually brings me to like a thought exercise I share with all of our friends and family, whoever comes through the Kodawari's door, and it is a thought exercise called the Future Authoring Program, and that was made by Jordan Peterson, and it's the exact same kind of thing in a different format. It's just a bunch of questions prompting you like, hey, what do you enjoy doing? What do you not like to do? What is a day in your life? What could it look like in 5 years? What relationships are important to you? What balance is important to you? That kind of stuff, right? And then it forces you to kind of learn more about who you are at that point, and then set goals and aim to where you want to go, right? So kind of very similar to your ability to kind of piece and connect these dots and being like, okay, I'm going to start morning meets. This feels like something that is cool to me. I want to set my aim in this direction, right? So that's awesome that you were able to do that, and I hope more and more people make the time to slow it down and to think these things, because like you can easily open your phone and mindlessly be entertained.
Yep.
And that's the norm now.
It is.
Right? As soon as you're not working, as soon as you stopped swallowing that scoop of food in your mouth, you could be just like multitasking and watching and this and that. And sometimes it's important to just make time to just think.
Yeah.
To be bored a little bit, to ruminate, right? And I think that's going to be a challenge we all face moving forward in terms of how distracted we can be and how things can be slotted up and filled into our time, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember what the first event was like and how it led into us meeting and being a part of your events?
The first morning meets event ever, or the first one you came to?
Either or. You can start with either or.
I remember both of them minute by minute, to be fair. We'll go with the one that you came to. I think that would have been our second Oakville drive, if I'm not mistaken. And as I say, for me, when I saw the car pull up, I got really excited and giddy and yeah, a bit not starstruck, because that seems a bit too ridiculous and I don't want to give you that. I don't want to give you that kind of attention. But yeah, to be on the other side of the fence felt really weird. I used to love going to Drive Fest. Granted, it was only around for a couple of years, but the Kodawari team were always there and they had a real presence. You weren't yelling at people, you weren't playing loud music, but you could feel that you guys were there and you were trying to get people in the cars and let people experience things. And the NSX obviously stands out. It looks super cool. So when you guys pulled up, I was pumped. I was really, really pumped. And I think you brought the S2K as well. Yeah, that would have been full time, probably September, if I had to guess. September, October, something like that.
Yeah, I remember it being wet that day.
Probably.
Yeah. Drizzling a little bit. Yeah, because I remember that fast forward a little bit into that cruise, there was GT3 touring.
Yo, yeah.
And he was near the front of the pack. I was near the back. I always like to kind of chill at the back. But I remember Adrian being like, "Holy fuck! Now this guy like just gave it too much gas, gave it too much beans, and just like."
Hand. I remember it so well. That was his first drive with us. He's a good friend now, but I remember seeing that in my mirror because back then. Now it's chilled out a little bit, but I used to be so anxious and stressed on those drives. Yeah. I would show up to the meeting point like 45 minutes early before like the hour meetup time had even started. I couldn't eat, couldn't drink, couldn't do any of that. It was just go, 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 go. So I used to just be glued to my mirror for the whole drive. I had a few near misses where I just hadn't even seen that the road ahead was turning.
Yeah.
And I remember looking in my mirror. It's a left hand onto Britannia right before that new subdivision got built, and there's a bit of a bridge on Britannia. I remember looking in my mirror, and I'm not going to name the guy because I don't want to do that, but he just picked up a GT3 Touring, and it was his first proper sports car. Really nice car. I'm fairly sure it's PTS, and it's got a lot of interesting options on it. Mm-hmm. First drive, delivery mileage, and it was slightly damp, and I think he just gave it the beans on a left-hander at a light. Maybe it was going yellow or something, I don't know. And I look in my mirror, and like I could see the rear of his car. You shouldn't be able to see that. Like I could see his tail lights. He somehow caught it, but was like 2 inches off a curb on his front bumper. Oh, there was no one else on the road because we go out early in the morning and it was damp and things, but my heart sank. I was like, did I just witness someone crash a GT3 Touring? And it wasn't fast. We were going very slow. Our whole ethos is when we're around subdivisions, when we're around people, we do the speed limit. And we were going even slower than that because that particular stretch of road is 3 lanes wide. So we can always do that cool shot coming down the bridge where we can look up and see all of the cars. So we were doing like 20 or 30 kilometers an hour. And then I just see the rear of his car and it was just hilarious.
Yeah, I remember pulling up to the pre-meet and saying hi to everybody. Everyone was super nice, a very good mix of cars.
Yeah.
Which is something you guys are very known for in terms of just making sure there's a diverse selection of cars so then we can appreciate and contrast and kind of have those conversations. And then, going on the cruise, like everyone was very chill. Again, sometimes it's slippery and people need to be reminded of like, if you're running and rocking 200 treadwear summer tires and it's like cold and wet towards the fall season, like just be careful. Just careful with the throttle.
There's always going to be one, right? And every driver's meeting I say that. I say, don't be that guy. And no one knows what that guy means, but everyone knows what it means at the same time. Yeah. And I like that you mentioned the variety of cars, because if you want to see Ferraris, join the Ferrari club. I don't care. I find that really boring. After my second PTN event, I went, okay, I've seen the same 100 cars now. It's the same conversation. I don't want to talk about your bucket seats. I don't care. I don't care that you got deviated stitching. I want to see something interesting. And like, I think that event, we had an auto Zam. We had Euro NSX, an S2000, GT3 Touring. What else did we have? An R8 GT, 2 4Cs, like just really interesting stuff. And not the consumer standpoint, more the enthusiast base. It wasn't a regular R8, it was the R8 GT. There were no M3 comps on BBSs slammed to the floor doing burnouts. It's not that kind of thing. There was just interesting cars, and that's something I try to keep going. I will hold people in the wait list for membership if I feel that we've got too many 911s at the moment. Probably shouldn't say that, but happy to at the same time.
Yeah, it's just how do I put it? It's keeping the more macro lens of, okay, let's make these cruises and these get-togethers as fun as possible.
Yep.
Even if it comes at the sacrifice of this person waiting a little bit longer, but overall, like everyone who is there is like, wow, this is super cool. They have a great time, and it just builds long term. If that makes sense, right?
It does.
Like everyone gets to talking. If the more of a great time that everyone has, then it allows for us and for you to host more events and continue the buzz in that direction.
Yeah,
because it's funny. because I remember, yeah, it can get pretty old sometimes when you go to like the PTN meets and it's just like, you know, the usual.
And that's not to say anything about PTN.
Yeah, exactly.
I love PTN still. I still go to their events.
It's super cool. It's just like to each their own. And there is, I remember asking my buddy Ray when we were going to drive up to the Pickering event that they were hosting. And I was like, yo, you want to go? And he's like, no, man, I'm tired of listening to how people spec'd out their 911. And it's just like the same old story. There's not enough modified cars. Like, you know, you would hope to see more of like the tuners and the grassroots like shops bring in more of their flavor and stuff like that. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
If people spent what they spend on PTS and carbon ceramics on actually customizing their 911, we'd have a really interesting car scene. But with the wave of the Porsche hype at the moment, I am beyond sick of PTS 992 RSs. I don't care, like at all. But if I see a 997 on BBSs, I think it's the coolest thing ever. That's just my thing now.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like a buildup and of different factors of people looking at these cars as investment pieces, right? And then they're like, okay, how do I make my investment even more unique? Oh, I'm gonna spend this much on options, right? And then that's why these cars have ballooned to be so expensive. And then Porsche as a company, they're like, this is fucking awesome.
It's going to bite them in the butt. Not many people know what's going on behind the scenes with Porsche.
Yeah.
But when you start to realize that they doubled GT production again this year, not so good. It used to be that you had to buy 10 Macans to get your GT3. Now it's like 2.
Yeah.
And when the MSRP is that high, I don't know that RSs are still going to be 500,000 in a year's time. I don't know. Can't predict the future. But yeah, I think coming out of COVID, everyone saw what happened to 911s. You used to be able to get a 996 turbo for like 35 grand. Now they're 95. If you're a business guy and you have the means to do so, guys threw money at 911s very quickly because they were going to make cash. And some did, and some still will. Like an ST is like 900 grand. But you had to buy $3 million worth of cars to get one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm over my Porsche hype at the moment. I still am a Porsche guy deep down. I drive around with a Porsche mug in my Alfa Romeo, but I'm a bit over it at the moment.
Yeah. Hopefully things have a way of balancing themselves out.
Fingers crossed. If it means I can get an RS in 3 years' time for like 10 grand, sign me up.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to balance that much, Matt. I think you're a little bit. It's hopefully, you know, and I tell this to our guys all the time, and I tell this to the people that listen in our community. I'm like, we have a decision to make. You have a decision to make. You have the power to be like, okay, I'm not gonna go and buy the next car right away and want more and more and more and just consume and then like add, right? And I've had these conversations where I'm like, and in our philosophy and our approach with Kodawari is like, yeah, we have our shop cars, and I just want to grow with them.
I love that.
To learn like how to become better drivers. You know, my pursuit of becoming like the best driver I can be. It's gonna take time. And throwing more money at it is usually not always going to be the right answer. And we just want to be patient of driving them, taking them out to more events, taking them out to more track days, and growing in that sense. And that's why we gravitated to attending more morning meets events, and then really being like, after that first event, being like, yeah, this is hell yes. Like, these are the people we want to be around. This is the community that we would love to cruise with and to grow with, and then ultimately support as best as we can, regardless of the fact whether or not this helped out our business or none of that stuff. It was always like, I built this business because I wanted to create a life that I enjoyed doing the things that are part of it. And if that meant hanging out with a bunch of assholes that had money to help the business, that's not why I did this.
No.
So then when I saw the community that you had built in the event, I was like, yeah, this is cool.
I'm not sure if you asked Adrian, he'd have said the same thing on the day.
Yeah, Adrian is a lot more business minded. He enjoys looking at the world through that lens, and he contrasts like my approach very nicely, and that's why we're great friends, and that's why he's been a big part of building Kodawari with me. And but yeah, it's, you know, at the core of it, we love driving the cars. That's why we were like, yeah, this is it.
I knew you guys were enthusiasts when it's still that event, and I still laugh about it with Adrian now, when somehow he got lost in the pack and then ended up right behind me at the front. And there's a train track coming into Milton where if you hit it hard enough, you'd get like 3 feet of air. And I'm in my Miata at the time that isn't lowered or anything, so I take everything flat. Like, just like, it was my only chance to escape the Porsches that were hunting me down. And I hadn't quite clocked that the S2K was that low, and I went flat over these train tracks. I didn't get airborne. I wasn't scary or anything, but I looked behind me and I could see the whites of Adrian's eyes, just like, as you see the car kind of almost lock up, trying to stop before the train tracks. We still laugh about it now, and it has taught me to go extremely slowly over train tracks since, but it's one of the funniest things I'll ever think about.
Oh man, it's funny because he's like, he doesn't like being in front of the camera, and then he's like, now somehow I got behind Matt, and he had a photographer sticking out the back of the Miata, like taking photos, and then the train track thing, and it's it's funny. That's what makes the events more memorable, when you're kind of like running into these bumps and just having fun with it.
The Miata is the best camera car ever created.
Yeah,
we had a half cage in it, so you could almost stand on the seat and hold on to the cage facing backwards. It was the reason I got a Spider.
Yeah, and Paul has the Miata now, right?
He does. Yeah.
And I'm happy to see that it's still in the community.
He'd owned it for less than 24 hours before he brought it to our first track day.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was the coolest thing ever. It was so cool. I wouldn't have sold it to anyone, but he was interested, and he's a great friend, so I was happy to.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna jump into a quick break.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back into it.
Sounds good.
Okay. Back from our break.
We're back.
We left off kind of towards the tail end of 2024, and then I specifically remember we went to like the winter season, and around springtime where things were starting to starting to warm up and everyone was getting excited again, like how our car community does around this time of year. And I remember talking to you, and you're like, now I'm gonna do this full time. Like, you were in school during the winter months, I think.
Yep.
And then you're like, I think I'm gonna do this full time. I'm gonna try and give this my all and go head in this direction. So talk about that. Talk about how the winter months went for you and how it led to that decision.
Winter was a grind. We went really quiet on social media, but we were doing a lot of work behind the scenes. As the season finished up, I knew that we really needed to step up our game. There were a lot of people noticing what we were doing and starting to copy it. So I figured we need to distinguish ourselves a little bit here. So the idea of switching to a paid membership was not an easy one, but one that needed to happen. It wasn't a lot of money. It was $100. But what it essentially did was put a bit of a barrier between what we were doing and what everyone else was doing. But with that, we needed to really step up our game with what we were providing. Mm-hmm. So I set out on 2 specific missions. I wanted to have our own portal that we made, we created, coded, etc., where you just go in, find the event you want to go to, hit a note and register for it, all done within our own system. No one else can access it. All the applications are run through that. So we spent 2 or 3 months developing that with a fellow member, Rodrigo. He'd actually reached out at the end of the season and said, I love this so much. Can I do this for you? And I was like, yeah, but membership's free for life. Like, that's the least I can do.
Yeah.
So we spent a ton of time developing that. And then we got it to where I wanted it to be. And my second goal was we need to do 30 events this year, 2025. thought it was a bit ambitious. We did 15 in 24, but I figured, I looked at what the other groups were doing and what you could access as a member of the general public being a car person, and it was circa 10 to 15 events a year. So I thought, okay, yep, we're switching to a paid membership, but with that, I'm going to double what we offer and double what you can get from anyone else. So that if you came to every single event, it was going to cost you like $3 or something per event. Mm-hmm. And my whole catch line at the time was membership's cheaper than a tank of gas. To fill up a 911, it's more than $100. So in my mind, I kind of phrased it as you get a whole season of adventures for less than a tank of gas. Mm-hmm. Resonated with a lot of people, but not some others. Others didn't see the vision, and that's totally fine. I'm never going to drag anyone along with me. I'm just going to keep plowing, and if you want to come along for the ride, by all means. So we went from 700 members, if you want to call it at that, to 225 was what I capped it at when we launched in March. It's grown back a little bit since then. But what it did was it really filtered out the guys that weren't that into it. The guys that stuck around and were willing to shed $100 were super enthused. And what that ultimately meant was we did 50 events last year. It was insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it reminds me of, I remember speaking with Lucas one time, and he was saying, we were talking about morning meets, right? And he's like, now Autostrada is where it's at right now, and I love it, but sometimes getting some of these cars out to our events, it's like pulling teeth, right?
Oh yeah.
He's like, fuck man, like I gotta these collections here or this and that there. It's hard. And he's like, when I come out to a morning meets event, everybody's that's there wants to be there.
Yeah.
And not just wants to be there, they're like, hell yeah. Like,
we reversed the psychology. You had to register for every single event, and we capped the limit for events.
So, and with you going in the paid subscription route, you again filtered that out even more. Yep. Where it's like, okay, the energy that people bring, the enthusiasm, the commitment, the respect, right? Everyone's there is like a hell yes. Everyone who's there is like a hell yes. And they understand what they're a part of.
They quite literally bought into the community. Yeah. They feel like they're a part of it, and they are. Yeah. Like from the very start and still today, I just feel like I steer the community. I don't have anything else to do with that. I don't want to take credit for it. Mm-hmm. The community tells me which direction we want to go in, and I just kind of set it up. Yeah, that's sort of what I do. But back to your question of the full-time transition, mm-hmm. It was a weird one. So I'll give you a bit of context. Like I said previously, I didn't know that university was necessarily for me. Going into second year, really started to feel like that. I almost couldn't leave from summer. I didn't want to leave the home. I was like, I don't want to go down to McMaster and spend another year down there. So it was already in the back of my mind. And then I had done the math that given X amount of members, I could survive like 6 months without having to work or go to school or something. That was on the condition of moving home, doing nothing other than working. That was it. I could do it. I hadn't really pitched that to my parents or anything, but then a good friend and member now reached out at the time and said, love what you're doing, would love to grab a coffee. And it was like February, I think, just before anything really started to happen. And he's a bit of a maniac. Like, he's a big character. And he picked me up from my student house in the snow in his straight pipe GT3 RS. It was the coolest thing. And this car is lizard green with gold wheels. Like, it is the coolest thing. So I was already a bit like, whoa. And I'd never really sat down and had a proper conversation with someone like that. I'd never wanted to ask someone. I don't like the whole like coffee chat thing. It kind of weirds me out a bit. Mm-hmm. So I never asked anyone to have a conversation, but he'd asked me. So we went and grabbed coffee down the road. I kind of explained to him my whole situation, and I'd been kind of dithering, I don't know what to do. Do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? And he kind of laid it out in front of me and said, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you shouldn't be in school at all. We chatted for like 3 hours and we had a very shared mindset. We were very, very similar. It was kind of weird. It was like I was talking to myself and he said the same. So for me, it was a bit of a light bulb moment of, wow, this guy has this and a few other cars and he's only 5 or 6 years older than me. Like, wow, like if he's saying what he's saying and we are seeing eye to eye on this, then yeah, I gotta do this. And he dropped me back on my student house. And all my buddies came out the front door because they heard the car arrive, because this thing is like ear-piercingly loud. It sets off alarms on startup before he even moves it. So they all come out and they're like, wow, that's cool or whatever. Like, ugh, I'll never have money like that. And they start to get a little bit weird about it. Rightly so, I guess. But within about 4 minutes of entering the student house again, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just spent 3 hours with a guy who really believes in what I'm doing and he is where I want to be. And then I get back to the student house and they're like, nah, whatever. It's like, this isn't the environment that I necessarily want to be in. Love those guys, still great friends with all of them. But that's not helping me in any way, shape or form. So I texted my parents, I'm done. That was it. I just texted both of them and said, I'm not going to school next year. And I think they'd already seen it coming because they just responded with, sounds great, give us a call. That was it. Granted, everything I do is with a plan and with a goal specifically. I wanted to reach a certain point within what would have been my 3rd year of university. And if I didn't do so, I would go back to uni, no questions asked. That was my clause. My parents didn't ask me to do that. That was just something I wanted to do for myself. Hit that clause now, so won't be going back next year, which is super cool, for better or for worse. But it was a really pivotal day for me to have someone who was in the position I want to be in like 10 years time, really like resonate with what I was saying and go, yeah, like it's a no-brainer for me that you shouldn't be in school. Still scary, didn't sleep that night, but everything went hyper speed and tunnel visual right after that. So
did that friend of yours with the lizard green GT3, did he ever tell you why he reached out to you?
Yeah, he saw what I was doing. He'd never even been to an event. He'd never managed to come out. He was super busy. But he saw what I was doing and then just over DMs figured out how old I was and kind of a bit more context about me. And he just said, you know, I've never ever reached out to someone like this before, but something about what you're doing and the way you're going about it really, you know, clicked with me and I want to see if I can help you out. So we'll be forever grateful to him for that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if you like, well, it reminds me like, just in passing conversation with some of the guys or relationships I've built, sometimes when I see a little bit of myself in them, and then you're like, you want to help that person because you're like, you can see a little bit of yourself in that person. Right? So that's super cool. I think the mentors and the relationships you build from like a community of very passionate people, it's effortless.
Yes, it's genuine.
It's genuine, you know. And sometimes I'm so used to it because our business and everything that we do is around enthusiasts and the conversations, the fun. It's so effortless. Yeah. But then as soon as I go out and I talk, and then I stand at the bus stop, waiting for Anderson to get off the bus, and I'm trying to talk to one of the other dads. Fuck, it's hard.
Brick wall, right?
Yeah,
like
it's just
yeah.
So like, what do you like to do? And you know, it's just like, it's crickets, man. So, yeah, it's cool. It's cool that he helped you kind of, what was it? Understand that it's scary heading in this direction, but it's all gonna work out. It's gonna be okay.
He put it in black and white. He did what Cliff did for me early on, but at a really pivotal point in my life. And his conviction in the way that he was talking to me and then continued to talk to me. We didn't stop texting the whole night. It was really weird. It's almost like he'll laugh at this so much. It's like you go on a first date and you feel like it's love at first sight and you just text all night. It was like that. We just didn't stop the whole evening.
Damn, that was magical.
It was super special. It was great. But I give him so much grief now. Poor guy. He had no idea what he's getting into.
Oh, that's hilarious. I think about you hitting 50 events, and at the time, 30 was like doubling.
Yep.
And I think about your commitment to, hey, we're going to charge now. But with that comes a responsibility that we are going to take up this mantle and build this.
I can't describe to you the stress of taking people's money.
Yeah.
It sounds really weird. And you listen to all the podcasts or whatever. And I used to do other transactional businesses, and like this was completely different because it felt like taking money from friends, because they are friends.
Yeah.
So for me to do that had to be very, very justified. And I always wanted the value to be there. So even today, sometimes I can't get to sleep at night. I'm just like, this feels gross. I don't like it at all.
It's because you care so much.
Hopefully.
Right? I think that shows in how you've built morning meets, and I think that it's cool. It's cool to think about the environment that you were in terms of school and going at this pace and being around your friends who are kind of like, like I'll never be able to afford one of those cars. That kind of mindset, and then shifting your environment to, okay, I'm doing this full time. I'm going to start this membership, and I'm going to take on this responsibility, which means like you've just put yourself on the hard difficulty.
So would you say then the really responsible thing to do a week after that is go put a down payment on a 4C?
Okay, so very, very hard difficulty. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when you posted it, I was like, damn, that's sick. I'm like, this is going to be a good season. That was kind of your announcement to the Morning Meets community that this is me going all in.
That was the scariest 10 days of my life. I put a deposit on that car when at the time I had $400 in my bank account.
Oh my goodness, that's something that we share in common in terms of having the balls to make these kind of like Hail Mary decisions and lifestyle changes, because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Kodawari's journey, right? When we started all of this, I had never done any detailing before, had never done any car care, had never run a business, had never led a team. And one thing led to another, and it started with just watching cars on YouTube. Of just being like, look at, you watch one of those videos and it's just like, sometimes the person who is living their life the way some people are able to, and the videos that they put out, like the energy and joy just like permeates through the video, right?
Do you find this is an interesting question I ask a lot of people, when you see stuff like that, do you find it motivating, or do you go, that's a big jump from where I am right now?
I find that incredibly inspiring and captivating, because I remember that video.
Yeah,
I remember it very vividly because it was a Chris Harris video. I say it all the time. He's one of my favorite automotive journalists, and it was when he was reviewing the 991.1 GT3 RS.
Yep. Okay.
And that video started off with Chris driving Lava Orange one on the back roads.
Yep.
And then having the time of his fucking life, as most people would.
Yep.
Being handed the keys to a brand new RS. And then halfway through the video, he pulls up into Porsche's private track. And out front are the fucking coolest cats in the world, like Andreas Porninger. And
the big bosses. Yeah.
With like another 4 or 3 other GT3s in different colors. And they're just leaning on the cars, right? And he runs up and he jumps into an ultraviolet purple one, and then he starts tracking it, right? and the joy, the beauty of the cinematography, everything about that video was like, how do I get that? How do I aim towards that?
We all have that one video. Mine is like completely opposite to yours. You're talking about all this beautiful cinematography and living this incredible life. Mine was a video by TGE where he took his Aventador SV on his commute to work. That was it. And even he was pointing fun at the video during the video, being like, this is the stupidest thing we've ever filmed. Like, he's like, I have no idea why we're filming this right now. And I don't know why that video did something to me, but just seeing a dude very casually using an SV as his commuter car, it was a moment of, if he can, why can't I? That doesn't seem, it wasn't a thing of fair because I don't like that, but wow, like people actually live that way. The average person doesn't come into contact with something like that.
Yeah.
So when you get to see it and you realize that people are living like that, it kind of changes things very quickly, because we all have the same hours in the day. Granted, we all come from different positions, but that was a really weird moment for me. I go back and watch that video probably once a month.
Yeah.
When I lose vision, I go watch that, and it's the stupidest video. It's like the worst thing you'll ever watch. It, honestly, like, it's so bad. And I've met him now, and like even he would say it's terrible. Like,
isn't it funny how like certain things resonate with us at specific times in our lives? I should go back and watch that Chris Harris video. I think that's always an important anchor point.
Do it tonight and you won't sleep.
Right?
Promise you that.
But yeah, it was like me saying, man, how do I head in that direction? Like, how do I find that? And then one thing led to another, and then I signed the lease for this unit, and I had nothing, like in terms of starting from exactly nothing and then just being like, okay, I got to figure it out. I've signed the lease now. Now every single month I have to fork up rent. And how would they say it? It's like you something along the lines of like renting the opera or like the theater first forces you to write the play. You don't have time to like, oh, maybe I'm gonna procrastinate here, or this is my timeline. No, people are coming and sitting down at their seats to watch your play at this time. So now you have to figure it out. You have to write the play.
The 4C is that for me.
And it puts that pressure on you that I think for guys like me and you, we're just like, okay, there's no more, like what ifs, right? We just got to figure it out.
It was almost a good thing, but it is also the scariest thing you'll ever do. Like, I have gray hairs and I shouldn't. Yeah. I got my first gray hairs at 19. Like, that is not okay at all. But when that amount of money comes out of your account each month, for me, it's the 4C. For you, it's the lease here. It no longer becomes I'm driven. It's like, no. If you don't make that payment next month, it's gone. You're bankrupt, and good luck. You got like 5 years to try again. Yeah. Sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing.
So the outcome, because we look at it now, is 50 events.
Yeah.
Right? You've made that decision to go full time. You've got the 4C.
Yep.
Where do we start from there as the season starts? Like, where was your head at in terms of, and I can kind of see it looking back, right? A common theme here of diversity in terms of having a nice contrast in different types of events for different types of owners, right? Where was your approach to the season that we just had?
It was interesting. The season started with your industry event here. That was a really interesting night for me.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was that winter, right?
Yeah. I had picked up the 4C probably less than a week before that, and the drive here for that event was one of the most like aha moments ever. I don't have many pinch me moments, but that was one of them, because as I pulled onto the on-ramp to get on, I think it's the QEW to come here, Lucas is sat in his GT3 literally next to me. Like, as I come down the slip, he's right there. It was the weirdest thing. And he's looking over at me like, what on earth? And we're doing the same thing. And then we drove here. And it really set the tone for the whole season, because I had in mind what I wanted to do. But coming here and listening to your ethos of how you go about things in collaboration was really interesting. And it stuck with me, because during the winter, I'm not interacting with anyone, at least at that time, within the community. I was just focused on like building the portal, figuring out what the business plan was, if you want to call it that. So being reminded that not necessarily have people to lean on, but you can do so much more with other people was really, really key for me. So I think that then shifted a little bit what it was that I wanted to do throughout the season. You know, we did our track days, we did the workshops, I did things with other people as well. And it's completely true. Collaborating on events like that, or in general, collaborating with like-minded people, is 1 + 1 = like 5. You know, I could put all my effort and time into one event, but you do it with someone else as well that's equally as enthused, and it's something you couldn't even imagine coming together. So I guess back to the general question of events was, I understood that with the diversity of cars, that came with a diversity of drivers, and some guys don't want to drive their car. Fair enough. Like, that's not what I'm about, but fair enough. So I understood we needed things like workshops, we needed things like cars and coffees, maybe social events. So that was one genre of events. And then I also understood that you have the diehard drivers. A lot of our shared clientele, people that come from the membership to you guys, are dudes that want to protect their windshield because they're going to do like 10,000 kilometers a year in their car. They're going to go flat out every weekend. So we needed to have a big roster of driving and encourage those guys that don't want to drive by having a ton of events and make it very, very accessible. So I would say 70 to 80% of our events last year were drives, or some form of dynamic event, whether it be a drive, a cruise, a track day, anything like that. That's the main focus, is get people out and driving. But it also extended into our first tour, which was super scary. That was 2 days, 1,000 kilometers and 20 cars. That was, tough, really tough. Handling a lot of money with that was challenging, because you're taking in the cost to come, and then you're paying the hotels, you're paying the supplies, you're paying the logistical side of things. And I already felt very uncomfortable taking $100 from people. So I think the average cost for that per person was like $500.
Yeah.
I was terrified, like really scared of doing that. Mm-hmm. It was great, and we'll do lots more next year, but that was a huge learning curve and something I wanted to do, because Morning Meets is very similarly modeled off a company called Supercar Driver in the UK. And a big part of what they do is circa 15 to 20 tours a year, which is ridiculous. I could never do that. But it's a huge part, because it's where you build the really deep connections and the camaraderie. We mentioned Paul earlier. I hadn't spoke to Paul a huge amount. We were good friends, I would say. But on the tour, you get to build these connections. And the guy with the RS came on the tour. And just the little chats you have over the radio, and you're chirping each other along the way. If you make one mistake, someone's on the radio straight away. Mm-hmm. Those little moments, and having that tour so early on, cemented so many things that I like about certain events. So then it kind of shifted things again and redirected the direction we wanted to go. But we did a huge variety of events, I would like to think, and I tried to spread them across all of the GTA. We did everything up from Peterborough, Halliburton, and then all the way down to Niagara, London, Cambridge. We went everywhere. It was a lot of driving, but I'm going to change things for next year a little bit. I think we need more variety still. I think it's going to be more and more important if we get the drive percentage to like 50%. Mm-hmm. Not by decreasing the number of drives we do, but increasing the amount of other events we do as well. Mm-hmm. Then I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, you did a lot of fucking driving last year.
Yeah.
Every time I saw you, you came back with like a wicked tan. You're like,
yeah.
Your hair looks like you were putting some serious kilometers. There's so much volume. You had so much a beautiful tan going. I'm just like, just loving it.
I'm English, so it starts as a burn. I was getting home from every single drive and having to put on like moisturizer and like after sun. Like I was just a tomato after every single drive, and I was averaging over 1,000 kilometers per weekend in the peak. It was ridiculous.
Holy. So yeah, you're right. There are owners and car enthusiasts that love to just have their car in the garage. Mm-hmm. They work on them, they tinker around with them, they clean them, and they get to enjoy it. They bring it out to a Cars and Coffee, hang out, shoot the shit,
Yep.
and then put it away. Not a lot of kilometers. And then there's the guys that just love driving.
Yeah.
Right. So with that tour specifically, what did you learn about that tour that you want to apply to next season?
Came down to one thing, and it was the first time I'd felt serious anxiety and stress post kind of the first couple of drives we ever did was that tour. I was very, very nervous about it. And that stayed with me for the whole 2 days we did it. Granted, 2 days doesn't feel like very long, and realistic time, it was probably 30 hours we were all together. But I'd built the schedule. I constantly was changing it days beforehand, trying to squeeze 5 minutes there, 10 minutes here, trying to really figure it out. And then we get to breakfast on day one, the starting point, and they seemed to think that we weren't coming. They had no idea that we were coming. And I'd spoke to the owner of the business, the staff assured that we were there, we were booked, we were good to go. So we were an hour delayed from the get-go. And I'm just sat there in a bit of a mess, kind of almost avoiding talking to people. I would just go around and like little small bits here and there, but I couldn't really stand and look someone in the eyes for very long because I felt like I'd already failed. And we were only an hour in. And then we got on the road, about an hour to get out of the GTA and hit gravel on a road that I'd driven thousands of times and had made sure it was good. I'd tested it a week before, gravel, and then they were putting tarmac further down the road. And I just was like, oh, people are going to want a refund. Like, this sucks. We're an hour behind, and now people might have tarmac on their cars. But it was in that exact moment where I took a huge chunk of learning away. I was sat there in complete silence in my car, just like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to prompt anyone to feel bad right now. There's some really special stuff on that tour, some very, very nice cars with low kilometers, special specs, whatever. Someone got on the radio right away and said, wow, I didn't know we got a free undersealing with this tour. This is fantastic. And then everyone jumps on the radio and they're laughing along like, yeah, it's brilliant. It's awesome. My car's sealed. I can drive it in the winter now. And they weren't being mean. They were genuinely having fun. And I kind of sat back and I didn't say anything on the radio for a second. I was just like, wow, these guys, how are they so positive right now? I am crapping myself. And then we passed like a farm stall and they were selling cow's milk, and they're like, Matt, can we pull over and get some milk? Like, they were just poking jokes the whole time. I was like, wow. And my big takeaway that I'm trying to get to with this is, because I work and function in an industry where it's people's passion, this isn't many people's full-time job. This is a really positive thing for them regardless of what happens. Like, an event could go horribly and everyone had a great time. Horribly from my perspective. From their time, there were a few hiccups and they still had a great time. And I don't lean into that too much because I still get very OCD about events. But just that kind of reassurance that you could really mess up and people still have a blast. Like, we talk about the first event you came to. At the time, I didn't see it as that funny that Adrian almost scraped his front splitter. Like, I was very stressed about that. But then you talk to everyone and they had a blast. And like, even now, if someone misses a turn on a cruise and they get diverted and they go on a completely separate drive by themselves or one other guy, they get to the end point and they've had a blast. They're like, oh, we should do this road next time because I went the wrong way. Like, we just did a quarter cruise at the end of the season and 10 of the 40 cars skipped the second half of the route. Like, just missed it. Arguably the best half as well. And they ended up at the lunch stop an hour early. And we get there and I'm like, oh, guys, I'm so sorry. They'd driven so far to get up to the quarters. Like, we had a blast. I don't know what you're talking about. They'd gone to like go get coffee together or something, and like someone had taken them on a different drive and then they'd end up at lunch spot. But reminding myself that, yes, sometimes it feels like work, but for a lot of guys, this is like really what they're looking forward to during the week. So you could seriously mess up and people still had a pretty good time. Which speaks more to our community than anything else. These guys are the most supportive people you'll ever encounter. It's ridiculous. And sometimes guys will spot that I'm a bit stressed, like at the secret shoot we did right at the end of the season. Adrian spotted that I was looking a bit hairs were going gray during the morning kind of thing. And he just pulled me aside. He's like, "You're doing a great job, man." I was like, damn, almost brought me to tears. Like just in that moment, because I'm so focused on making sure everyone has a good time. And he'd spotted that I was a bit like, a bit stressed. And he just pulled me aside. He didn't have to do that. But it's always that reminder that the community is looking out for you, which is very, very humbling.
Yeah, I think it circles back to a point that we made earlier, and that's that everyone's signed up for this, right?
Yeah.
We're all car enthusiasts. We know when you go on the cruise, sometimes you get lost. Sometimes you hit that phantom railroad tracks that sends you like flying. I remember going to a cruise with a few of my buddies last year, a smaller group, like 5 of us, and it was hilarious. We hit this railroad track that no one saw coming, and my buddy's like 992 GTS went like Dukes of Hazzard.
Big clouds.
Yeah, just like flying, rips off the lower portion of his lip. We literally have to turn around and come grab his lip and come back. And we were just like laughing about it the entire time. Because we're like, yeah, this is part of it. This is what happens when we're out exploring, taking these cruises. And I think it's just like, it's an understanding. And I think a lot of the older guys in the group or the more experienced guys will just understand that that's just kind of a principle of life, you know? Like the plan is always the plan.
Yep.
And then you go into it and then you get a curveball.
Yeah.
Right? And you kind of just have to roll with it. And the guys and the people who are able to navigate those situations with a sense of comedic relief, that's how you're able to persevere and continue finding success.
It's true.
Right? Because if you're too hard on yourself, or you're too stressed, or you're too tense, and you keep getting hit with these things, then eventually you're going to kind of drain yourself of the balance that you need to continue doing it.
It's without sounding too cliche, it's the big difference I've noticed between genuine community and the community that people lean on for marketing. People use that word far too frequently now. I try not to that frequently because I think you can kind of see from the outside what we're doing. But I think a lot of people will lean on, join this like welcoming community of happy people or whatever, and you find out it's not that at all. It could be that on the surface, but when stuff goes wrong, what actually happens? And one of the members came to me about mid-season before a drive had started, and he didn't need to do this. He came up to me and said, you know, I went on another drive with a different group a week ago or whatever. Won't name who, won't name what group. They do good stuff. But he said, we got stuck in the rain and everyone just complained the whole time. I didn't enjoy it. I had a bad time. I went home early. We've hit rain in morning meets a few times. It's never a good thing. But like the guy that spun the GT3 in the wet at 20, it was just like a funny thing. He didn't come up to me at the end of the drive and go, "Oh, why didn't you move it to a different day?" There was nothing negative there. Whereas the ones that really try and lean into it as a bit of a marketing thing, at least from my perspective, it's just, you have that kind of encounter where it's really good until it's not. And then you don't have this backing of people that are very positive and have experience in the space. And it sucks. Like, I feel bad for people that don't have a good time when you're driving cool cars on a cool drive. How could you not be having a good time?
So that attitude, that mindset, what do you attribute that to?
It is gratitude. I know that's a big principle you guys lean on. I'm very conscious that if I can do it, then anyone else definitely can. Like, I am not the best at anything. I'm not very good academically. Admin-wise, not the best. I'll miss an application every now and then and they have to email in. Like, I am not a perfect person in any way, shape, or form. So the fact that I do what I do and I get to bomb around in a 4C all summer is ridiculous. Like, genuinely ridiculous. To the point where sometimes I feel bad even posting about the car. Like, when I made the post about the 4C announcing that I got it, I felt really bad. I didn't feel good about that. I was like, it feels wrong that I of all people get to do this. Like I don't feel that it should be me, it should be someone else. If that makes sense. So always reminding myself of that, not in a negative way, not going, oh, you're the worst, but kind of, you got quite lucky to get here, and it wasn't by yourself at all. Like if there weren't people along the way, then this would never have happened, whether it was Cliff or whether it was the guy in the RS or you guys. It just, I wouldn't be here. I'd still be bombing around in my Miata by myself in the rain, probably going backwards as well. So every single time I start the car, I'll take a second whilst it's warming up to just go, this is ridiculous. Doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. in the morning and I'm grumpy and tired, I'll still take that second to just sit there and go, what on earth? Like, this is absurd. That's why I take so many photos out the mirror of that rear intake and post it all the time, because it looks ridiculous. Why? Like, why do I get to do that? It's insane. It really is like it's a beyond a pinch me. It doesn't feel real. It's like someone needs to take the VR headset off now.
Yeah. It's, I think it kind of leans a little bit on the quote that we have in the shop. Is like, when you have the courage to pursue your dreams and head in that direction, then you will be met with success in common hours. And what that means is that, yeah, once you're heading in that direction, you're able to, like, the simple things, you appreciate them more. The little things don't bother you as much anymore.
No.
And I was kind of leaning in on the overall the attitude of the community in terms of all the other owners being supportive in that kind of way. And I was like, I'm thinking, why is that so? Why is that different from morning meets versus the other community that owner was talking about? And I'm like, I don't know if the other members on the other side were a paid membership or not, but I think, again, circling back to, you filtered out the guys who are like, me going out and driving these cars, it's like a 7 out of 10 for me. It's like a 6 out of 10 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, I got the money, I got the cars, I got that kind of stuff. So if it rains, I'm gonna be kind of cheesed about it.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys who are paying for this membership, and they're like, no, these events, this community, everything that I do with them is like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my baseline. So if it rains a little bit, like, who gives a shit? I love this. I live for this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The paywall aspect was not a business decision. Morning meets could make more money if we grew to bigger numbers and it was all sponsorship. We would make way more money, like way, way, way more. It wasn't a business move at all. And I tried to really make sure people understood that, and still do. We could be at like 2,000 members at the growth rate we were going at last year, but we're not. We have 300 of the coolest people you will ever meet. They're the nicest people. It's ridiculous. Like, there was a guy in one of the group chats the other day going, I just got in a bit of an incident with my car. I'm not sure who to call. And someone just called him instantly. These guys had never spoke to each other before. Mm-hmm. One of the members just ringed him instantly and was like, this is what you need to do. Talk to this guy, talk to this guy, talk to this guy. That kind of community is just, you can't put a price on that. And it's something that I pay very, very close attention to. I spend 95% of my time curating the community, if that makes sense, making sure it's still in the right direction, the right attitude. There's been moments in the morning meets history where if I hadn't taken a certain decision or we hadn't gone in a certain direction, it could have gone south pretty quick. Things don't always go your way. So just making sure that you're on the right trajectory and everyone understands that they're with you for the journey as well. Yeah. They're not buying into this like final product of absolute perfection. They're here for the ride. Yeah. And I hope it pays off.
Come along for a ride, like raise your hand in terms of who wants to be here, right? And it's cool when you have that dynamic. Just like we have Benji sitting with us. And he knew that I was coming in today to record with you, and he's like, now do you need help? I'll come in, I'll make sure everything's, I'll give you a hand, right? And that means a lot. And that kind of what's up? That kind of relationship and that kind of community is like, you can't put a price on that.
No, not at all.
You can't really describe that. And it's cool that you're learning these things as you're going along.
Yeah.
Right. And it's cool to see, right? Because I'm learning it as we're going along with Kodawari, right? Because when we built the shop, and we were trying to name or find a name for ourselves, the word community kept coming up. I was like, I want to do this with people that I want to do this with.
Yep.
That want to be here. I want to serve clients that want to be here and want to be a part of this, and not just like, have to be here, because there's a different mindset, there's a different attitude that comes with that. And it's whenever there's a problem, everyone jumps in, fixes it, done, moves on.
It shows. It
Right.
pays dividends. Anytime a member comes here for any kind of work, they send me an email. They don't do that with anyone else. They'll give me feedback saying, the team there, they were so busy, but they spent 2 hours chatting with me about F1. You guys don't need to do that at all. Even when it's like the track days that we do, you guys are there before they even ask. If someone has a check engine light, you guys figure it out before he's even figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
You're already there. You've already popped his hood. You're already helping him out. It goes so much further than people realize. And until people come to this space and interact with your team, they don't realize it.
Yeah, it's I think it's, let's talk about that track day, right? I remember heading in towards the tail end of the season, and we had done the 3 workshops at that point.
Yep.
I had so much fun doing it, right? So that was new for me in terms of speaking in front of a group, right? And I was like thinking, it's funny because at the workshops I was like, man, how does Matt do this? Because I remember my first impression of you was at that first cruise, and like you were just talking in front of everyone, like just like a natural. I'm like, how old is this guy again? And he's
I used to crap myself. Those first like 5 drivers meetings, I didn't even know what to say. I used to rehearse on the way to the like meetup point. The whole hour before we would get there, I'd go over the same 5-minute spiel to myself like a lunatic at 4 a.m. If you drove past me on the 401 like last year, just understand that I wasn't yelling at you. I was yelling at myself in the mirror. It was quite funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's yeah, but that's what we don't see.
Right.
And then we just see Matt just acing it in front of everyone just cracking jokes and stuff like that. I'm like, are all UK people like this? They just, do they just talk well and just have this charisma? Because I remember, like people come up to me now and they're like, you're able to communicate and talk and tell stories or whatever the case may be. Right? I'm like, were you always like this? And I'm like, man, we should release some of the footage we recorded when we first started all of this nonsense. You guys would fucking laugh your ass off.
Yeah. I
still remember the first time we were doing an unboxing of these mics, these Shure mics. Right? And I was just like a fucking deer in headlights. I just the whole time just like staring at the camera, like it was hilarious. Even Shams, he's even brought up to my attention. He's like, the earlier YouTube videos that we recorded of us being on track, right? It was like my first time, like I just recently started tracking these cars near the beginning of our journey, right? And he's like, now you're like all over the fucking place on the track, right? And I'm like, yeah, I still kind of am, right? Like,
yeah.
But it's cool to see the growth. It's cool to see that when you have that commitment, that mindset of like figuring it out, you'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the track day, we were talking about, okay, we're heading towards September or October, something like that. And then I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to do more workshops? Do you want to do a cars and coffee? Do a public event? And you're like, let's do something different. Let's do the track day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, we've been wanting to do that for a long time.
Yep.
We've been wanting to do a track day. We love taking the cars on track. And I still remember my first experience on track and what that meant for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like sitting in the cars and I'm like, a car can do this? And it's almost like when we watch our mentors or even the people we look up to like accomplish these things in life, we're like, oh, that actually is possible.
Yeah.
So hosting the events and heading in that direction of hosting the track day was like, okay, we love cars, we love the craft of driving. It's cool if we could create a track day or host a track day where people start that journey for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They can see what's possible. They can kind of be invited into this world in a way where it's not so intimidating.
We'd had the conversation that Morning Meets and Kodawari meet the public at very different points of their automotive journey. We've got guys in the membership and you've got clients that have had 50 cars and this is the one they've always wanted. They got it now. They've done 150 track days, countless road trips. They know everything. But we also have the guy that just got his first 911, and making sure that we are sending them in the right direction with the right tools that they need is very important. And that's where the workshops came from, was us going, more specifically you going, you know, we went around some of your meets and we looked at their paint and it like gave us goosebumps. We need to fix this. And I was like, fair enough, because I'm not OCD enough to notice those kinds of things. My car is a mess. You've seen it. You've had to clean it. I'm very sorry. But it's making sure that we are building a very multifaceted thing of, we're trying to encompass every part of this ownership journey, whether it's you trying to find your car and one of the members helps you out by locating that car for you, or now you've got the car and you want to figure out how to drive it a little bit, come on a cruise, or you want to push harder now. Okay, let's set up a track day. But I don't know how to clean it after my track day. Well, we got a workshop for that too. And it's like, okay, you want to customize your car a bit now. We know the guys. Like, just making sure that we're touching all of those different points along the way is very, very important. And the track day was the next one, but it was a big leap. Like, it felt like it from both of us, and it was something that you guys handled the majority of. And I felt kind of bad, but you nailed it, and it was so cool.
Man, I'm glad we were able to give you that assistance and that ultimately that collaboration, right? Because we've been a part of enough of these events, and all these things that we're doing, we're, like you said, we're just guiding the things that people already care about. So like when I'm at the events, I remember the first like season opener event, I was walking around and I just started talking to the members and being like, what are you guys interested in? What do you guys like? Right? And that the beauty of our business is that we get feedback from them, and
yeah,
and we also have feedback from ourselves because we enjoy the stuff too, right? So yeah, the track days, I've been to a handful of them, and they can feel they are very intimidating, right? To take your car on track, to think about like what could happen, to compare your driving to other people's driving, to not to want to get in the way, being under the sun all day, and it takes its toll on you. So we wanted to approach it with, how do we make it more comfortable? How do we make it more fun, right? What do I want to see out of it? And we're like, okay, first and foremost, like something that Kodawari is a part of our identity is just the hospitality, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We just love taking care of people. We just love, like that comes from my mom. My mom has always been that person that I thought like all moms were like this, but she was like next level.
Yeah.
In terms of anticipating my needs before I even realized them, right? So like that's where the through line goes into our business and our approach to all the events, right? That the hospitality has to be there. Got to make sure the food's good.
Yep.
Right.
It was very good.
Shout outs to Mo and his team over at Mazwari. Fucking home run every single time.
I can still taste it now. It's
right.
It's good stuff.
If you guys are ever in the Mississauga area, Streetsville, hit them up. Food has to be great. We had to make sure that it was as organized as we could make it. And obviously there's a lot of growing pains along the way. That's a part of it.
100%.
And making sure that I'm like, some people, sometimes they're not ready to go on track right away. So they just want to sit and ride along and experience it.
Yeah.
Right. So we're like, okay, how do we incorporate track taxis? How do we kind of like open the door and like, come have a seat, let's take a couple of laps, and you can kind of experience it and see if it's for yourself or not.
Yeah.
Like see if you like it or not. At different stages. So even some of our clients and friends who don't even have their own cars yet, they were able to attend the event. We had so many spectators. We had 35 beginners.
Yep.
At that first track day, and we had an amazing team effort from all the volunteers, all the instructors.
Yeah.
All the instructors, everyone, like my friends and family that came out on a Saturday to help serve the food, to check up on everyone. Like everyone volunteered to be there. Everyone was looking out for one another, and that amounted to like an amazing event.
You hit so many nails on the head there. We lowered the barrier to entry for your first track day so low that it was a no-brainer. There are so many guys in that first beginner group that hadn't even thought about going to the track before, because to be quite honest, from my perspective, a lot of the track days are very few and far between. You've got the full-on like 4-day school where your car has to get prepped beforehand, and it's like $3,000 and it's full on, and you need a hotel. It's extreme. And then you got open lapping. There's nothing in between really. There is a few, don't get me wrong, but they're often on really scary tracks too.
Mm-hmm.
We were very specific about TMP because it's very approachable, and our whole ethos going into it was making sure that, yeah, if this was your first track day, before you even had to drive it yourself, we'll take you out for a lap, we'll talk you through it. Don't worry about it. And then before we let you go out by yourself, here's an instructor. He's going to talk you through it too. You want to know what your car can do? We'll make the instructor drive your car with you in the passenger seat so you can understand what it can do. We had the guy in the Testarossa let Justin take his Testarossa monospec with luggage out on the track. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I couldn't believe that happened. But would that guy have ever taken a Testarossa on track if we hadn't have done that event? I don't think so. I think it was such an incredible 2 days that we did, and the feedback was incredible. I don't usually get emails after events. I get a couple WhatsApp messages being like, that was cool, I liked that route, the weather was great, whatever. I had like 5 or 6 dedicated emails saying that was incredible. I've never felt so welcome and comfortable on the track before. Like you say, there's hiccups, but everyone that's a part of what we're building understands we're a ride for a journey, not an end product. And it's going to get better over time. And the difference between track day 1 and track day 2 was huge. And that wasn't to say track day 1 was bad. It was just like we even proved it even more. And I think it's going to be a key part of what we do going forwards.
Oh, yeah. I remember speaking to that member, the owner of the Testarossa. And I remember Justin taking him out in the NSX.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And he came back. And Justin's driving the NSX at like 60-70%.
Yes,
he's an amazing driver. He's super smooth. And he came back and he was like, now that ride along was worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
He's like, just to experience a car that can do that with a driver that can do that, like it just blows your mind. I remember I had that moment when I was at Mossport with my buddy Dragos, and he took me out in his E36 M3. He took a whole bunch of us out.
Yeah.
And just to see a car at the limit, just dancing along the track, that's when you're like looking at life and looking at yourself, and you're like, man, this is what's possible. Like, that's cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Some people say that, and then some people are like, I never ever want to get back into a track.
Track days are very black and white. There is nothing in between. You either love them or you don't want to go anywhere near them. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think we wanted to stick to the fundamentals of just making sure people had a great time regardless of the weather, because that's always going to be an aspect of track day and outdoor events in general. And when you're around the right people, you have good food. Like, it doesn't matter if it's gonna rain, right? There's no one complaining. It was raining. Like, we had so much fun on the first track day up to about 2:00, right? And then it just came down. And everyone was huddled underneath the tent. Everyone was jamming out, having so much fun.
Yep.
The food came, like, it was all good, right? And yeah, it was such a great reminder of why we do what we do and who we're doing it for. And I can't wait to see what is in store for where we take it from here. Because I think, at least, you know, obviously trying all the other beautiful tracks in our city.
Yep.
But I'm like, man, like, my personal goal is, like, I want to drive all the tracks around the world.
Love to. Yeah.
Right? Like, experience that, all the best driving roads all around the world. Like, that seems like something exciting and worth working towards. Yeah, it was super cool. It was super cool that we were able to do it together, and yeah, it was good.
It was a fun day. And that the same guy in the Testarossa came out to the secret shoot at GP circuit. We got him out in like 4 race cars with pro drivers. He was shook for about 2 hours. Like, there was a big pause between each car that he went in. It was hilarious.
Yeah. I remember so that secret shoot as well, a few of our guys, it was their first time on Mosport GP as well. Right? So Shams, Danny, Wilson, they all got a taste of different cars, right? But actually, I don't think I've ever sat in a full race car before. But when I spoke with Shams and he told me about that Mustang experience.
Oh my,
right?
I went in the same car.
Just like, that's something you'll never forget.
He's a very cool driver. I hadn't been in a race car before, and I hadn't been around GP circuit. I didn't get to drive it that day because I was just running around like a madman. But I went out in the Mustang at the end of the day, and the guy was kind of like, you know, I've taken a lot of people out for their first track laps today. I've taken it easy. Do you want to go like flat? And I'm like, of course. I've never been around that circuit before, and this car has crazy aero. He goes, okay, after lap 1, I'm not going to be able to hear you, so you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If it's a thumbs down, we go, and if it's a thumbs up, we go even faster. And like, I couldn't describe it other than, what turn is that? Coming up the hill before that sharp right. He wasn't braking until the curb, and we were doing like, I would guess 180 to 200. It was terrifying, but also the most fun you'll ever have. It like just, yeah, there's not many days that stick with me, but that one was ridiculous.
Yeah. That's, you just have to experience it.
Yep.
You just have to experience these things. There's no amount of me or you describing this that will ever equate to experiencing it. So that's why we do what we do.
Yep.
Right? That's why we're going to continue doing what we're doing, and having more fun, and inviting people into our world.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the track days. We did the workshops, did a lot of like cars and coffees, right? And then ended off the season with the secret shoot, which was super cool.
That was cool.
And then now, before we jump into the future and kind of wrap things up with this conversation, we'll jump into a quick break.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay, so we're back. Talked about the season. Talked about 50 events. Now, where do you see all of this going? What excites you? Where is your aim set?
There's so many directions that it is going. There's not one path. There's things I can talk about, things I can't talk about. The main thing for me is making sure that the community stays what it is. Keep it growing, let a few people in here and there, but keep the community positive, engaged, curated, making sure that that's the priority, and then everything else follows. So I think we've got that under wraps, but we did 50 events last year. If we could do 60 next year, I'd be happy. If we can go beyond that, even better. I literally made a spreadsheet the other day of how many possible days are there in a year to do events. And I think we can go over like 60. So if we can do that, amazing. I want to get some more partners on board to make sure that we are hitting all of the touch points of an enthusiast, make sure that we have someone for everything, readjust some of the ones that we had from last year and figure out the best direction in that respect. But making sure that the membership continues to be a genuine value add, regardless of if you come to events. Making sure we've got the right discounts for you, the right partners, is very, very important to me, at least. Those are the two main big things I'm looking at. Obviously, each individual event, like the secret shoot, we had 40, 50 cars this year. I want to do over 100 next year, make that bigger and better. We only had a week's notice for that event this year, but if we can really ramp it up, that'd be sweet. Mm-hmm. I want to do some more tours. I really enjoyed the one we did this year, regardless of how stressed I was. It was a blast. Some of the best memories I made this year. So I want to do probably 3 of those next year. Mm-hmm. Only kind of 1 night, 2 night getaways, go for a little adventure. More track days, people asking for those. So we'll figure that out. But just kind of more and better, and making sure that we are staying true to what we said we would do and the kind of ethos I like to pursue. So I don't know, it won't seem too drastic, but making sure that we are continuing in the right direction and staying true to our fundamentals whilst doing so is going to be very important.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with the first point you brought up, which is the partnerships.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a big part of it.
It is.
That's a big part of it. And it reminds me of a conversation I had at SEMA from our trip that we just went to. And I was speaking to someone who I looked up to, and he was displaying his car at the show, and I was just trying, like, our goal is to eventually go there one day and display one of our cars there. And I was talking to him about his journey, and he was just like talking about the things that he's learned. And he's like, now, like, a lot of people come into the SEMA show and they're just like, the car builders at least, they're like, oh, okay, what booth am I going to be a part of? And how do I showcase my car? And it's always about like me, right? He's like, my approach at these partnerships with the brands, if I'm going to display my car at their booth, I got to actually like believe in their products.
100%.
I also got to look at this partnership as in, what can I do for this brand? Not just what the brand can do for me, but what can I do for this brand? And when it's that mindset of approaching it that way, it just leads to a very beautiful relationship and a very long-lasting relationship.
It's a genuine relationship.
Right.
We're just starting to look at our 2026 partnerships right now, and the deck that I sent out to 3 or 4 guys very specifically says that if this is not a mutually beneficial thing, then we're not doing it. Yeah. And if it's not built on a genuine trust and relationship, I'm not interested. There are so many people that reach out every month saying, can we put our brand on this? Can we do something? And I just go, no. Big numbers. But making sure that it's coming from members is very important. I've had so many members say, you need to talk to these people. Mm-hmm. So I do. Mm-hmm. And we just did a survey last week of who are you using? Are our partnerships working? You guys came up a lot, which is amazing. And then figuring out which ones aren't we using that we need to be.
Yeah.
Really understanding what the members want is very, very important to me.
Yeah. And that was like our team's mindset when we were just as members and wanting to help build with you guys, is like, how do we just give first because we care, because we're the person, we're giving it ultimately to ourselves because we're the enthusiasts, we're the ones enjoying those things. And I think that's a very important aspect of building into the future, is making sure those partnerships and the mindset and the approach and the attitude of those involved have that positivity and understand what they're signing up for, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important. And then I think the tours, I have some feedback in terms of the tours that we've done, and even the slight adjustment that we made with SEMA this year is that we weren't staying at hotels anymore. We were staying at Airbnbs.
Nice.
Yeah. And that gave us the space to not only feel more comfortable, because like you're not hanging out in the lobby or this and that, and everyone has their rooms that they can go in and rest if they need to. But just having that shared space, we were like cooking together. We were like debriefing from the day, just in the living room or in the backyard, that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed that so much more.
Oh yeah.
Right. Not only was it less expensive, but it was just a way better experience for everyone involved. And when we went down to Tail of the Dragon, that was the same idea, right? We stayed at hotels, and I'm like, if we were to do Tail of the Dragon again, I would actually want to rent an Airbnb.
Yeah, and you can find a middle ground. The location we picked for the tour we did this year,
Yeah.
I was very specific about it. I wanted people to have their own space, but there'd be a communal space. So there was kind of individual cabins almost on this lake, and then we had a lounge where you could go and hang out, play pool. Like most of the guys stayed in there playing pool with each other till 3 a.m. It was incredible. I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think in terms of doing those tours and even going further out, like that could be something cool.
Yep.
Right. Be more than happy to explore that with you and even attend, right? And yeah, the amount of events in terms of like aiming for 60, like it's gonna demand a lot of you and your team, and the willingness of the community of morning meets in general.
Yep.
Everyone just being like, hey, like we want this, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is like I really feel that these events are so important, because sometimes we're so caught up in work and family life and all these kind of things that I always say that these things help us become the best version of ourselves. These moments of having fun, finding connection, and being a part of like this community. It just adds so much depth into my life, and if you're able to experience it and see it for more than just what the face value of like the cars and having fun in that sense, like it really is the people. It really is something that brings a lot of balance into my life, and I know it does for so many of your members, and I think we're just grateful to be a part of it, man. We're grateful to be doing this with you guys, and appreciate you coming on, having a conversation with us.
Of course, I'm very, very grateful to be here. Like I said, full circle moment for me, so I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. It's I remember when Adrian was telling me that your earliest memory of the NSX was at DriveFest.
Yep.
And really hope that something like DriveFest evolves, comes from the ashes of that show, because I think that was an amazing event for our city. We were able to be a part of that for 3 years, and hopefully something cool comes from the inspiration of that show.
Yeah, there's a space there. Let's see if anyone jumps at it.
So let's finish off with a few rapid fire questions.
Sweet.
What's a dream road that you want to take your 4C or any car on one day?
This is a good question. For me, it gets a little bit reminiscent-ish. Like I want to go and do a lot of stuff in the UK. I went back and visited in 2020, I think it was. And every road that I liked that we drove down, I wrote it down on my phone. I have a dedicated notes app to roads in the UK I want to drive.
Yeah.
So a big thing for me is there's a very big goal of buying a Lotus Elise there and driving it around for a couple months and then shipping it over here. That's my big goal. So I will do that at some point.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be able to ship the NSX over and join you on those roads.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
You put a lot of kilometers on the 4C.
Yeah.
What's one personal car quirk that not a lot of people know about that car that you've come to appreciate? Positive or negative, doesn't really matter.
There's a huge number of quirks about that car, and I think you've got to experience some of them. But it does just try and kill you all the time. That's the only way I can describe it. There's no moment in that car where it's not being a pain in the ass. Like low speeds, shifts like crap, steering's horrible, brakes are grabby, and you got no power until you're in boost. You get up to speed on the highway, it's trying to pull you into the next lane. There's nothing in between. And then you take it on track and you go, okay, now we can really get this car into its element. You get mid-corner and suddenly it builds boost. No idea why. I'm at like 1% throttle and all of a sudden it spools all the way up. and it spins you. It just tries to kill you all the time. And I love that. I don't like boring cars. I drive some of the modern stuff like an M2 and I just fall asleep. I just don't care. It doesn't interest me. Whereas the 4C I get in and it's like you almost have to have a pep talk with the car of like, let's not do it today.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to end up in the scenery. So I don't know. There's been a few hairy moments, but it's hilarious.
It's like you have to really be present with and understand how the car wants to be driven and adapt your driving style to.
You've driven it, right?
Yeah. It's different. It was so cool. I had so much fun. Right? It was like so. Yeah, it's so unique in how the car drives. Do you ever see yourself tuning the car and kind of tweaking it to your liking and your style? Because you spent so much time in it, right? Now you have a good baseline.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can be like, okay, what do I want to adjust here slowly here and there?
For context, the car is leased for 3 years.
Yeah.
So I got 2 more years with it if I don't buy it out. That was a very conscious decision. But the exhaust in particular is very annoying. It drones like you wouldn't believe at highway speeds and then is silent sometimes. It makes no sense. It came factory with no mufflers, which is weird. But I'm working with a performance shop right now. We're going to build a custom triple exit exhaust for it. So 458 style, it's going to look like a 458 from Temu. It's going to be sweet. I'm going to do that and an intake, and I'm going to feel like I bought some like weird like inbred 458 Koenigsegg. It's going to be sweet.
I love it, man. I love it. Looking down in the future, unlimited budget project car, what would that be?
Probably a Lotus Exige Cup 430 is like the dream car. Right now it's between that and a Noble M400. Those are the 2 cars that I'm eyeing up. Like no budget changes nothing for me. All the stuff I like is kind of the 100 grand range. I'm not interested in a Chiron. I don't care. But I think an Exige Cup 430 would be mental. Is
that like a cup like kit that you can buy from Lotus?
No.
How does you get that car?
The Cup 430 is kind of the GT3 RS of the Exige. So they took the Cup car. They originally did a 390, and then they went even further and did a 430. So it weighs like less than the 4C and makes like 450 horsepower. It's mental. And then, David's Exige, the fluorescent orange one, he did like the wide body kit, and I would do stuff like that to make it even more racy.
Yeah.
I like functional cars. I don't care about aesthetics that much. So I would just go all the way with one of those.
Yeah, David's orange one is beautiful.
It's insane.
I love it.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. And you can teleport the community anywhere to host an event. Where would that be? Whether it be a track, a country, a road?
We would do a tour through the Dolomites. That would be my thing. Do a proper Europe road trip. Bring all of our cars over, because it's not the same when you rent a car. People do that, but it's not the same. It's not your car. You don't have those memories attached.
Yep.
Get all the members' cars over there somehow. We rent a plane or something. And then we go and do a 5-6 day trip through the Dolomites. It'd be insane.
That's it. One day we're going to have another podcast, and it's going to be a recap of us doing the Dolomites.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Okay. Bring it on. Let's do it.
So just a little bit of foreshadowing. But yeah, that's where I see this going. Keep it up. Keep at it. We're happy to be a part of it. Appreciate everything that you do for the community, and I appreciate everything you do in terms of all the collaborations that we've done together. And looking forward to many, many more miles.
Awesome.
Kilometers.
Thank you for the conversation. It was fun.
All right, guys. So that wraps it up. Every time we sit down for these conversations, I'm reminded of why I started the KodaCast in the first place. It's for us to learn, for us to connect, and to share the stories behind what we're building. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.